This is why business ownership sucks. Solopreneur, business owner, whatever you want to call it. That was us. We got caught up in that too.
My name is DePaul.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we're the entrepreneurial couple. And so on this video, we're going to be talking about why solopreneurship sucks.
Yes, a lot of people think that having their own business or going into business for themselves is the way to acquire financial freedom, but then they realize, holy crap, I may have the money, but I don't have any time.
And the biggest thing about going into business is that when people think that a business will give them freedom, it generally is a lie. And so let me tell you why. I'll never forget the first time when I jumped out into the world of entrepreneurship. I was in sales at Verizon, right? And so I had worked really hard at getting good at sales, and I felt like I was great because the first 6 months I sucked, just like with anything else new. And then after that, like the latter end of that, I was a whole lot better. So I was always finishing around 1 or 2 in the store every single month. I was like number 20 in the district at one time, which was pretty cool. But whenever I quit my job, I said to myself these words: I will never work for anyone else, and if I'm going to sell, I'm going to sell for myself. And so, baby, you want to walk them through what that looks like?
Yeah, that looked like him starting up his own company, but he was in the sales seat. He was the marketing guy. He was doing all the fulfillment to make sure the orders were taken care of, and then going back to repeat that cycle of sales, financials, marketing. So he had no time for his family.
So when you're a solopreneur, what happens is 2 things. You're either strapped for cash or you're strapped for time. And it's never either or, it's actually both. So whenever you're in that position, it's because you don't have any kind of leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at leverage, there's time leverage and there's other people's money leverage. And so with OPM, OPT, other people's time, other people's money, what happens is you end up in a position because you're strapped for time and you're strapped for money, you're not looking for ways to leverage somebody else's time or somebody else's money. You're just so focused on the bills, or you're so focused on, man, I gotta keep working. And what keeps you in this race, we call a rat race, of just solopreneurship, and you beat your chest and you're like, I'm a business owner, I work for myself. But in reality, you are a slave to whatever skill set or whatever business you are doing.
It breaks our heart whenever we go into a small business and we see the owner behind the cash register and he's fulfilling all the orders and then he's trying to take care of the books, and you ask him like, hey, you own this? And he's like, yeah, I own this. But you could just see the exhaustion all over his face, and we wonder, like, what's his family doing while he's here at all hours of the day, it seems like. And it's simply because he doesn't know another way. And that's really all it boils down to. If we simply do not know, we act like it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. But just because we don't know another way does not mean that it does not exist.
Exactly. And so what I learned once I invested in coaching, and my wife and I, we got on the same page and we decided to charge for it together, what we realized is that in order to achieve financial freedom and time freedom, it wasn't about being a quote unquote business owner. It wasn't about having a business. It was about having a systemized business.
And I'm so happy that he opened up my perspective to that, our coaches and mentors did, because at first, whenever we just started having children, I was like, yeah, that's okay if he wants to be the breadwinner and, spend hours on sales calls. And then after about 2 weeks, I was like, holy crap, this sucks. I'm tired of being by myself with the kids, not having my spouse. And then when I do have my spouse, he's exhausted because he's been giving his work all of his time and energy. So even though that sounded great by him being a business owner and me just, letting him do that for a season, I realized that is not the life that I wanted to live with my family. So I was open to hear about this new world of automation and systems and delegation if it was going to give me time with my family.
So what I realized was when we invested in that coaching and we started to focus together, my first piece of leverage was a virtual assistant. And so that allowed me to leverage other people's time, and it didn't cost me a lot of money. We have this virtual assistant for $2 per hour. And so this allowed me to remove myself from so much marketing and prospecting, and it allowed me to just focus on sales. But once you start delegating these things, you end up making more money. Mm-hmm. You also have more time. But the issue is if all the seats aren't filled, you have to fill those seats. So when you start off, you're everything. Mm-hmm. And then when you start letting go of one thing at a time, you start moving yourself to the bigger pulses of the business, which is always sales. They say, was it Mark Cuban? He says, sales cures all. And so I instantly moved to the sales seat. I mean, we scaled to $30,000 a month. and it was my wife's grandfather's funeral. Tell him this story, baby.
So my grandpa died, and if anybody knows me, they know my dad died. So my grandpa was like my next best friend. So whenever he died, it was huge, and all I wanted was for my husband to be there. But I understood, like, we chose business ownership, so we have certain obligations that we have to take care of.
And so I was literally at his, this is embarrassing to say, I was still partly I was a solopreneur, and I had one assistant, which was this virtual assistant, but I had a full calendar, and I had just spent money on paid ads, organic outreach, all these things. And what happened was, at the viewing of the body, I was taking a sales call in the lobby of the funeral home.
And I was a very good wife who supported my husband. I still do till this day. So I did not combat him or tell him, no, you cannot go do that sales meeting. Because if I did, then that would be like me taking $100, lighting it on fire, and taking some more money and just lighting it on fire, because we had spent money, paid ads to get these meetings. So I knew my husband had to fulfill them with these sales calls. So I backed him up, even though it was a terrible situation at my grandpa's funeral. But it was a huge eye-opener for what we needed to do with our business and our life.
And so what my mother-in-law did, she pulled me aside, and what she said was, listen here, if you want to be a part of this family, you have to act like it. And when she stated that, how y'all doing? Y'all featured in the video. When she stated that, that blew my mind, because it made me realize, wow, I am a real beep for being on these sales calls when my wife's grandfather just died. And we're literally here to celebrate his passing on, and I'm taking a sales call instead. And so essentially that day, well, no, it was the next day, her uncles wanted to go play golf, and I couldn't because I still had sales calls. And so
talk about being a slave to your business.
So my mother-in-law sat me down again and said, you're going to go play golf with my brothers. And when that happened, I literally lit all that money on fire, which was probably about $1,000 on fire, because I could not take those sales calls. And I went in and I played golf. But best believe the next day, I started hiring and searching for sales reps.
And that life lesson showed us that we did not want to be stuck to any seat in any business that we own, because whenever we do, that business ends up owning us. Because life will happen. There's going to be things that happen that we have to be attentive at. We have to make it a priority to be fully present at these life events. So how can you do that and call yourself a business owner whenever you have that business stuck to you and you can't even leave because of huge life situations? So we just reassessed that year to figure out what could we do within our business to make it operate from a system standpoint, instead of us being stuck in the driver's seat for one of those crucial positions.
So right after that, I ended up getting some sales reps. I hired 3, fired 2, and I ended up with 1 guy. And I will never forget, my wife and I, we were hanging out at the country club by the pool, and I was getting Stripe notifications because he was closing deals while I was spending time with the family. And so I had marketing and sales taken care of, I had fulfillment taken care of, and my service-based business gave me financial freedom, it gave me time freedom, and not only that, we were able to take vacations, all kinds of things, simply because the business was finally systemized.
So he's got customers over here that are happy because the fulfillment's being done. He's got new customers coming in because sales are taken care of. And then he's got his team that's doing the fulfillment. So he's not doing anything, and he's just managing it from a system standpoint and making sure all of the pieces are working together, doing weekly check-ins with his team for maybe 30 minutes.
How y'all doing?
And living his best life. So in that season, I always say that God can use something so ugly and turn it into something so beautiful, because even though the tragedy of my grandpa's funeral and us not being fully attentive there, it turned into us having our eyes open to what business systems truly are. So in the next season of our life, whenever I wanted to start a swimming lessons business, I was going to be the one taking swimming lessons, doing the marketing for new clients, and DePaul slapped me out of that reality and
Slap!
boom. Said, no. You are going to operate that swimming lessons business from a system standpoint.
And so what she did was she said, okay, because her whole time in the swimming lesson world, since she was in high school and college and a little bit after college, she would always be one-to-one, a solopreneur teaching swimming lessons. And so we decided, hey, we're going to start off with a system. And so what she did was she went and took care of some marketing. So she got her first set of customers with no money, literally printed out flyers from a printer, gave it to the school system. They got her first set of customers. We took that money, threw it into paid ads, spent $32 on paid ads. That $32 made us another like $2,000. And then from there, we made sure we got a contract with a pool. She went and started hiring instructors and teaching them. She created systems, literally a pamphlet on how to teach kids how to swim, and they also had swim experience, so it was even better. And literally after 2 weeks of setting all that up, that whole summer, she was having a hot girl summer on bachelorette trips, having a good time, and her Apple Watch was going ding, ding, ding.
Yes,
ding,
that
ding.
business was printing money for me. But what I find to be the most beautiful thing that that business did is it impacted more people than I could have done personally. On a one-to-one level, if I wanted to teach swimming lessons, I maybe could have taught 60 to 100 students that summer if I really stretched out.
100 students?
I think so.
No, baby, because with all of those instructors,
Well, no.
you taught 144 lessons in that one summer with 5 instructors.
Very
so
true.
So you on your own, I think max you would have done like maybe 30 kids, 30 individual kids for 30 minutes apiece. That's a lot of kids.
I'm confused because I went over our numbers today for this previous summer and we had about 405 lessons. But remember, your average kid takes about 6 lessons. So divide the 405 by 6 and that's the number. So yeah, you're right. So on the principle is I would not be able to impact as many people doing it one-to-one. Then this past summer we had 6 swimming instructors. So time blocking their schedules at the same time just more than multiplied what I could have done personally. So business systems, you can apply that to any service-based business. That's one of our favorite things to do now is to go into a business and say, man, these people are lacking in this system. This is how they could do better. Whether it's a landscaping company, a car washing company, a restaurant, a nail salon, like any business could have systems created by the owner for the owner to pull themselves out of it and just look at everything from an operating standpoint. And in doing so, you're reaching more people, you're employing more people who want a 9-to-5, who want a job, and that's putting food on their table, so everybody's happy.
Exactly. And so the reason solopreneurship sucks is because you don't have time freedom, you don't have financial freedom, and lastly, you're selfish. And let me tell you why. The biggest worry of solopreneurs is if I teach this person how to do what I do, they're going to take it, run, and do their own business. And you have to get rid of that because you have to understand, I don't care how smart that person may be and how good they are at doing said task, cutting hair, washing cars, teaching a swimming lesson, they can never beat a system. A system will always beat a person who offers services one-to-one. For example, what was that lady who was teaching swimming lessons next to your
Here's
your
2
business?
stories to give you that example. There was another lady who taught 2 summers in a row while our team was teaching swimming lessons, and our team would show up every single morning, teach swimming lessons, she was there before our team, and some days she left after our team. But she was never able to teach as many swimming lessons as we did as a company because it was just her operating by herself. And point number 2, to emphasize what DePaul just said, that you were being selfish because you think they're going to take your talent or your business or whatever it is and run off with it. That's usually not the case. You're watching this video because you have an entrepreneurial bug in you. That business ownership, it's in you for a reason. Not everybody has that. And I know from experience because with our cleaning company, we've had multiple cleaning ladies working for us. One of them swore she could have did her own cleaning business and she was going to do X, Y, and Z. She still worked for us. I still paid her. And still to this day, she hasn't started her own cleaning company. So if you think that somebody can do what you're doing, be happy for them. If they want to do it, let them go do it. But don't be so worried and holding on so tight that you let that hinder you from expanding and creating bigger things.
So understand, the more abundant that you can be, the more money you'll attract and the more money you'll make. But when you start closing your mind and closing your hand because you're so worried that somebody else is going to take up the marketplace, then you're just a person who really just needs to get a job And you need to understand that in order to make money in the marketplace, it's all about competition. That's why whenever there's Ford Motor Company creating cars, they came out with Nissan, they came out with Kia, they came out with Mercedes, they came out with Volkswagen, they came out with all these competitors, and there's enough market share for each of them. Because not everybody's going to buy from Mercedes. Not everybody's going to buy from Volkswagen. The same thing with you. If you got a cleaning company, not everybody's going to buy from you, but not everybody's going to buy from cleaning company B either. So there's enough to go around. And when you understand that, who cares if that person wants to move on? If you have systems, you'll beat them any day, twice on Sunday.
Yes, we live in an abundant world, so that's how we have to think as well. The way DePaul and I think today, it's completely different than how we thought whenever we first started our entrepreneurial journey, and it's going to be different years from now because we like to hone in on our abundant mindset, and we're always looking for coaches and mentors to help us think bigger and better.
So with you guys, what I highly recommend, so you're not in the category of the solopreneurship rat race where you're always doing every single thing, wearing every little hat in the business, worrying about your revenue going up and down. You can barely pay your bills, so you go work more, and then because you're working more, you're missing out on family. You need to take the time to, one, get a coach or a mentor, two, obtain some type of leverage, whether it's other people's money or other people's time, and then three, once you use that leverage, start to move yourself to a higher position in your business, in your service-based business, to where you're just watching the trains and making sure they're running on time.
I love this scripture that only a fool counsels himself, because sometimes we get so stuck in our own head that we know how our business works because we do it all the time for ourselves, and we just don't know how we could leverage out a task, or we don't know how we can gain our time back in a certain area. So that's why having a coach or a mentor is so important, to have that third party perspective, looking at everything you got going on and then slowly guiding you. And then before you know it, you'll be operating it from a operating standpoint instead of being in your business.
So with that being said, if this video made a lot of sense to you, you got a lot of value, please like, subscribe, wherever that is, all that YouTubey stuff. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Absolutely. In the meantime, check out our Instagram at DFoxMoney.
DFox Money right here, baby.
And KFoxMoney, where
That's
you
her.
put out awesome value content like this in my mom life, business world, finances, all
Yep.
that good stuff. So we'll see you on the Instagram and next YouTube video.
Take care. We're out.